This is the Gerry Callahan Show.
All right, it is Tuesday, January 7th. 13 more days, and our national nightmare is over. 13 more days for Joe Biden to do as much damage to the country as he possibly can. Yesterday, of course, he didn't rest. He released 11 terrorists from Guantanamo Bay. We will get to that. We made it through another January 6th, amazingly. Before we move on to the news of the day, I just can't get this thought out of my head with January 6th. I watched all the coverage yesterday, way too much coverage on all the cable news. Obviously, you had one tone on Newsmax and Fox News, and the other cable networks approach it much differently. They still can't believe Trump survived January 6th. They can't believe this violent insurrection didn't end the man's career, his hopes, his dreams, his freedom. But I got a simple question for those who still don't think it was a setup. I watched it over and over again, and I have this one simple question that nobody can answer. If you wanted to stop an insurrection, if you wanted to stop this violent mob from overthrowing the U.S. government and installing Viking Man as our new president, I have an idea. I know this is real technical, real complicated. Why didn't they shut the door? Why didn't they shut the doors to the Capitol? What else matters? If you can't answer me that question, why they didn't just shut the door, then you have to admit something fishy is going on here. Something. Here's a video of the cops just standing there. Why would cops just stand there and watch people enter the Capitol with the intent to stop the peaceful transfer of power and hang Mike Pence and violently assault members of Congress? I've yet to get an answer to that from Jake Tapper or Dana Bash or Rachel Maddow or Joy Reid. Why didn't they shut the doors? What else would you need to keep them out? Shut the door and lock it. That's what they do every day. At the end of the day, I assume that's what they do every weekend when nobody's allowed in. They shut the doors. They have big, powerful doors. They could have shut the doors and locked it. They didn't. Why? Because they wanted this to happen. They wanted this to happen because they thought it would be the end of Donald Trump. And after they let everybody in and they staged this violent insurrection, they thought he was done. He was over. They would never have to worry about Donald Trump again. This was the plan. This is why the cops stood down and watched this riot take place, because they wanted it. This is what Nancy Pelosi wanted. This is what the Capitol Police wanted. They wanted this. It happened. They tried to exploit it. They told you a bunch of Capitol Police officers were murdered. They continue to say that. A bunch of Democrats said it yesterday. Jake Auchincloss, Amy Klobuchar, they came out and said Merrick Garland, our attorney general, said yesterday that a bunch of Capitol Police officers died as a result of January 6th. It's amazing that they still, to this day, after it failed, after the attempt to stop Trump failed, they continue to lie, to gaslight the American public and tell you, here it is. Look at these cops. If they're not under orders to allow this, their instinct would be stop them, shut the door, keep them out. But they didn't. I don't know how it could get any simpler, any clearer than that this was all staged. This was all planned. This was a setup. And for a while, it worked. They charged Trump with they didn't charge anybody with insurrection. Nobody was caught with a gun in the Capitol. They charged 1,500 people with various crimes. Many of them still in jail. 2 more weeks, 13 more days. Sit tight, because I do believe on January 20th at 12:01, Trump will issue the pardon for everybody. It's not going to be a blanket pardon. They're going to keep some people in jail who are violent or have criminal records. That's a small number of J6ers. The rest go free on January 6th, and they should, because none of them had a fair trial. All of them were over-prosecuted and over-punished. And I look forward to that day. But no one can tell me an answer to that. Why didn't they shut the door? Anybody on the chat line? Nobody. Nobody knows. It was clearly a setup, says Chico, of course. Yep, the doors, says M. Dart. That was weird. Weird? No, that was planned. That is, that's all I need to know. They didn't shut the door, period. All right, we got to move on because you know what? It's like every other day it feels like months now. Every other day you wake up and you log on or you turn on your TV, you get on your computer and you say, everything is turning up Trump. Everything. He said we're headed to a new golden age. I feel like it's already begun. The golden age of Trump 2.0 has begun. And today, if you woke up and logged on and checked out your social media, checked out Facebook, you found Mark Zuckerberg waving the white flag. Mark Zuckerberg, who did as much to stop Trump in 2020 as anybody. He spent $450 million trying to affect elections, particularly in Wisconsin, and it worked. His guy won, Trump lost, and he was happy. Well, the tide has turned. The worm has turned. Mark Zuckerberg this morning posted a 5-minute video explaining how everything is going to change on Facebook. He is looking at X, looking at Twitter, looking at Musk, and saying, man, he is kicking my ass. He is changing the world, and he is. We'll get to Musk's attempt to bring down the Prime Minister of England, Keir Starmer. It's fascinating. You really got to check that out too. But starting with Zuckerberg, here is NBC News. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg announced a series of major changes to the company's moderation policies and practices on Tuesday, citing a shift in the political and social landscape and a desire to embrace free speech. That is amazing. Mark Zuckerberg's embracing free speech. Again, Joe Biden has no shot in 2020, if not for Mark Zuckerberg, if not for all these social media platforms. He obviously controls Facebook and Instagram, but Twitter under Jack Dorsey, without the cooperation, which was coerced from social media companies from Silicon Valley, Biden doesn't win. The laptop doesn't get suppressed. We get actual free speech. If they weren't banning and silencing people on the social media platforms, Biden doesn't win. They succeeded in 2020. And in 2024, they waved the white flag, said, Trump wins, we lose, time to get on board. We know Zuckerberg went to Mar-a-Lago. We know he bent the knee. We know he is willing to cooperate with the incoming administration. And this concession is amazing because he says their attempts to moderate, censor Americans has failed. And he singles out 2 issues which got you banned from Facebook and Twitter, again, old Twitter, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago. He said that you will be allowed to discuss and debate and comment on gender and climate in this new iteration of Facebook. I don't know. I find this amazing. You could get banned. You did get banned 4 years ago, 5 years ago for pointing out that, I don't know, Rachel Maddow is a man. That got you banned. That got the Babylon Bee banned. They banned Donald Trump when he was sitting president. And now they're saying, Trump, whatever you need, you're back. Everybody's back. This is a great development for free speech for the country. When you think about it, you are now allowed to speak your mind on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. Here is Zuckerberg this morning. He looked kind of weird, doesn't he? He needs a haircut.
He's like an MMA guy now, so he thinks he's a tough guy.
True. Oh, by the way, yesterday they named Dana White to the board of Meta. Dana White is now a board member. There's no closer ally to Trump than Dana White. He loves the man and always has. He appears with him. He holds nothing back. Even when Trump was on the ropes, Dana White was in his corner, and now he's on the board. And he promoted this guy Kaplan, who's an alleged Republican. He's now on the board and speaking out for the new Facebook, which will now allow free speech. Can you believe that? In other Western nations, particularly in England and Scotland and France, they're going to war with Musk. In America, in the United States, they're joining forces with Musk to advance free speech. Again, Musk is just the greatest hero, the greatest proponent for free speech we've ever seen. And this is more evidence. He is conceding in this speech, in this 5-minute post, that Musk was right, that community notes works, that banning people and silencing them and kicking them off the platform is no longer the policy. Now you're going to get to comment on Facebook and people will get to reply, respond. Community note you if they think you're wrong. Here is Musk. Here is Zuck this morning. Go ahead.
Courts that can order companies to quietly take things down. China has censored our apps from even working in the country. The only way that we can push back on this global trend is with the support of the US government. And that's why it's been so difficult over the past 4 years when even the US government has pushed for censorship. By going after us and other American companies, it has emboldened other governments to go even further. But now we have the opportunity to restore free expression, and I am excited to take it. It'll take time to get this.
He's excited to take the opportunity to advance free expression. That's just incredible. That is, I don't like him. I'll never forget what he did in 2020. I know he's a far left liberal. I know he hates people like me. He hates people who say, Rachel Levine is a man. Maybe Rachel Maddow is too. I don't know. You could say that if you want. You're allowed to. But he is just conceding on every point. He says in this post, there'll be no more third-party moderation. That means there'll be no more of these far-left outfits, the PolitifaCact, or NewsGuards, or these third-party groups that work to suppress their enemies, right-wingers, free speech advocates. Those people are out. The third-party moderators are done on Facebook. Now, I'm not a big Facebook guy because of him, but this change, this is a sea change for social media in the United States, not everywhere. Other places, they're going the other direction. They want to put Musk in prison. But in the United States, this is a whole new world, and it's all happening.
Help the people in the UK though that keep getting arrested for stuff.
We're going to get to that, but you're right. There's no question that this feels like a major change that will have ramifications around the globe. At least I hope it will. And Musk couldn't be clearer. When you say that that Musk was right, Zuck couldn't be clearer. Musk was right. He was wrong. What he was doing was un-American. What he was doing was literally suppressing free speech, or what they call hate speech, which is speech they hate, not violent speech, not inciting a riot, not kiddie porn or other things. But he says they will end the third-party fact checkers, introduce community notes. I'm not sure what they're going to call those. And he will work with Trump to promote free speech around the world. And he takes shots at China. I'm sorry. I thought he was a little stooge for China. Not so much anymore. That is just, you can't overemphasize enough. Here's Ben Shapiro. He writes, this is a sea change for Facebook. Zuckerberg spelled out his vision, free speech, back in 2019 to the consternation and shock of the left. Facebook then proceeded to cave to the forces of censorship, and he engaged in mass censorship. The tide has turned. Good for Zuckerberg. I guess you got to give it to him. I mean, again, I don't like him, but he's doing the right thing here. And it will have an effect around the globe. We are once again the beacon of freedom and free expression. And it's a remarkable thing to see. And another huge W for Trump and Musk and Dana White and the United States. We're supposed to celebrate free speech. What they did was un-American. It was not just wrong. It was un-American. And now he's saying, time to embrace the ideals of this great country once again. And I guess all you can do is give him credit and say, we will see. It is a great move because now everybody's going to turn their attention to Facebook, say, what are they going to allow? Are they going to allow Alex Jones? Are they going to allow Ann Coulter? I mean, are they going to allow these people who were persona non grata for years on Facebook? I think they will. I think they have to. And they will allow people to community note them, and the whole platform will become much more interesting. That's what it's all about. Again, you don't ban speech, you refute it. You don't say, that hurt my feelings, let's get it off the platform. You say, let me challenge them. Let me take them on. That's the American way. That's what's happening on Twitter right now. And that's what's going to happen on Facebook. And that's another wonderful thing. All right, we got so much to get to on this Tuesday. The clock is ticking, and I'm telling you, it's exciting. I get excited when I'm on online or on TV watching cable news, or saying, man, huge changes are coming, and they are good. They are great changes. Speaking of free speech and the right to say really stupid things, we got to get to Sonny Hostin, because believe it or not, the single dumbest thing that has ever been said on The View happened yesterday. They're not handling this well, this return of Trump. And a lot of people say, why do they allow this? When are they going to kick her off? Why doesn't he sue her? I love it. Every day you get a better example of the mindset of these defeated losers who just can't handle, mentally, emotionally, they can't handle the return of Trump, and they are struggling badly. And two other things we're going to get to: this story out of Great Britain, story out of England. I can't stop reading. I can't stop thinking about it. It's the greatest scandal in modern times in the Western world. The grooming gangs, they call them grooming, the rape gangs, the Pakistani rape gangs in England. They're blowing the lid off this thing after decades. And it's just beyond disturbing, beyond infuriating. We're gonna, and it's not going away. Thanks to Musk, he is bringing it to the forefront, and thanks to Andrew Tate, who's running for prime minister. Tate's got his flaws, he's got his faults, but he is making things. He's bringing things to light, and he's making things really interesting in England. And well, back to New York City, they have a solution. The violence on the subway that we've talked about. We talked about the woman being set on fire. The guy shoved someone in front of a train over the Christmas break. They got a solution in New York. Kathy Hochul. Let's put more people on the subway, more victims. Let's make it more dangerous. We'll get to that and more. But first.
Excuse me.
All right, small business owners, listen up. If you're tired of losing money to credit card processing fees, we've got something you need to hear. With 24/7 payments, you can eliminate up to 99% of those fees thanks to their fee elimination program. Here's how it works. You pass the processing fees on to customers who pay with credit cards, and in return, you can offer them a discount for paying with cash or debit. It's a simple, effective, and fully compliant way to save thousands every month. Right now, 24/7 Payments is switching over 250 businesses every month to this program, and they can have you set up in less than 24 hours. Call 855-504-0799 today or visit them on the web at 247payments.com. That's the numbers 247payments.com. Democrats were very proud of themselves yesterday because we had a peaceful transfer of power, no objections. Poor Kamala. She did okay, I have to say. I tuned in to see if she was going to be slurring her words or stumbling, but she didn't. She signed off on the certification of Donald J. Trump. Her defeat. Another glass ceiling was broken. Yes, another first. The first woman of color to certify her own defeat in a presidential election. It was nice. We should celebrate that. But Democrats are very proud because they didn't object. It's the first time since 1989 that a Republican won the White House and Democrats didn't object, didn't attempt to stop the certification. So that's progress. That's good. It was, once again, too big to rig. And then the big controversy, which was kind of silly, that Senator Deb Fischer was sworn in by Kamala, and her husband, Bruce Fisher, did not shake Kamala's hand, and the liberals and Trump haters on Twitter and on social media went nuts. What a low-class act. But once again, another hoax. Here it is. She shakes Deb Fisher's hand, Nebraska. She reaches to shake her husband's hand, and everyone was like, whoa, man, I was thinking the guy just snubbed her, and I'm fine with that. I mean, she did a lot to destroy this country. She doesn't deserve any respect. But we find out later he's holding a cane. He needs a cane in his right hand and a Bible in his left. And so he didn't shake her hand. She was obviously offended. She rolls her eyes. But in his right hand, right there, is a cane. In his left hand is the Bible. So he said thank you to her. So he didn't really disrespect her. But the MAGA haters, the Trump haters, were going crazy. What a low class. It's again, one more hoax. But so how are they handling things? Well, in some cases, not well. Let's get to Sunny. Nobody I know watches The View, but lots of people post clips from The View. And it's just amazing how stupid these women are and just how gullible they are and how ill-informed. It's worth it watching and checking it out, because this, you wonder, like, sometimes you ask, like, who still wears masks? Who believes that Joe Biden's a good and decent man? I mean, all the usual lies from the media, here is who believes it. These bubbleheads, these absolutely empty heads on The View, who have an audience full of like-minded morons who cheer every time they say something they think is, profound or provocative. They reached a new low yesterday. This was just incredible. Sonny Hostin doesn't want us to forget January 6th. Sorry, Sonny. And they're so frustrated that when they see and talk about January 6th, that it didn't work. I mean, it worked for a while. It worked to an extent. They got to imprison, 1,000 Trump supporters, many of whom are still in prison for 13 more days. But it didn't stop Trump, and it pisses them off. And according to Sonny, we should remember January 6th the same way we remember World War II and the Holocaust. Those other really disgraceful days, I guess, or historic days in American history. She is a lawyer. She has a law degree from Notre Dame. That is the shame of Notre Dame here. Man, what a moron. Just watch.
I think we need to find moral clarity, in this country. And I just remember after January 6th, you had someone like Mitch McConnell placing the blame on January 6th where it belonged, squarely on Donald Trump's shoulders. Mm-hmm. And then you started seeing people backtrack that mm-hmm. and losing their moral center. You had Condoleezza Rice, I believe, on this very show saying, we need to move on from January 6th. Mm-hmm. I say no. You don't move on, because January 6th was an atrocity. It was one of the worst moments in American history. And when you think about the worst moments in American history, like World War II, things that happened, like the Holocaust, chattel slavery, we need to never forget, because past becomes prologue if you forget any race.
I want to ask you,
Jerry, do you remember the Holocaust happening in American history?
Yeah, I think there was in Kentucky. Was that where Auschwitz was? I think it's Auschwitz, Kentucky.
Yeah.
Yeah. First of all, did she say the worst moments in American history, World War II? I'm sorry. That would be one of the great moments in World War II in history where we saved the world.
Resounding victory.
I think winning World War II would be the greatest moment in American history. The Holocaust, I'm sorry, Sonny, that wasn't in America. And we, along with Russia, we freed the prisoners in Auschwitz and other concentration camps, the death camps, and slavery. A quick rundown. Death toll. World War II, 50 million. The Holocaust, 12 million. At least 6 million Jews gassed, killed in a genocide by Hitler. Slavery, untold millions. January 6th, well, officially one person was murdered that day. That would be Ashley Babbitt, Air Force veteran, unarmed, shot dead, shot in the neck by Michael Byrd, Capitol Police officer, who then got promoted and got a $36,000 bonus for killing a Trump supporter. Man, I hope I live long enough to see Ashley Babbitt's family get justice because they deserve it. But this moron compares a 3-hour riot in which the only people who died were Trump supporters to the Holocaust and to World War II. Is this the kind of person who's, and I fear this, I wonder this, are there teachers, probably who think like this? Are there teachers in high school right now who are telling kids that, what she just said, that insane, outrageous lie that Jan 6 was like the Holocaust? And think of all the descendants of Holocaust victims or survivors who, I mean, there's millions and millions and people who lost family members in World War II fighting for the free world. And they have to hear this idiot say, it's just like January 6th. And the other bird brains just nod along. God, they're not gonna hold up well for the next 4 years. I don't think they're gonna like Tom Homan. I don't think they're gonna like Pete Hegseth or Tulsi Gabbard or RFK Jr. And it's gonna be great. It's gonna be so much fun to watch. That is Sonny, Notre Dame Law School grad, who's like fabulously wealthy, and she just shows up. She's so bitter and so stupid. But all right, speaking of bitter, I'm struggling with the story. I have to say, I implore you, I beg you to read up on this scandal in Great Britain. It is. I got a story in front of me from the Free Press, and I swear to God, I've read it twice. I can't wrap my mind around it. And we talk about death by DEI. We talked about the deaths in New Orleans, 14 innocent, people celebrating New Year's Eve in New Orleans, run down by a Islamic terrorist. Virtually every recent example of Islamic terror, there's a component in there that may have prevented it. We are afraid to call out Islamic terror in the U.S., but more so in Great Britain. But this, as we said, this terrorist in New Orleans, he was flagged for extremist views, but people were afraid to take action because they didn't want to be Islamophobic. They didn't want to be racist or xenophobic. It happened in San Bernardino, that couple that gunned down people in the name of Allah. People, the neighbors, knew that they were extremists, they were dangerous, didn't want to call them out. In the Pulse nightclub, same thing. Gunned down 49 innocent people at a nightclub. He wasn't flagged. He wasn't stopped. The FBI didn't bring him in for questioning. And you wonder, why not? The FBI has all the resources in the world. We've seen it. They're arraigning January 6th defendants today, 13 days before Trump. There's a trial in D.C. for January 6th defendants for parading through the Capitol. So the FBI's priorities are all out of whack. And one reason is they don't want to be labeled, they don't want to be viewed as Islamophobic or racist. And the greatest example of this, the most disturbing, infuriating example of this you will ever see is still happening in England. And you can't even believe it when you read it. You can't even believe that so many people, cops and elected officials, were involved in turning a blind eye to the systematic rape and murder of young girls, young white girls, lower class, working class white girls. Just a quick review here, or summary from the Free Press. The grooming and serial rape of thousands of English girls by men of Pakistani Muslim background over several decades is the biggest peacetime crime in the history of modern Europe. It went on for many years. It is still going on. And there's been no justice for the vast majority of the victims. Both British governments, both Conservative and Labour, hoped they had buried the story after a few symbolic prosecutions in the 2010s. And it looked like they succeeded until Elon Musk read some of the court papers and tweeted his disgust and bafflement on X over the new year. Britain now stands shamed before the world. The public's suppressed wrath is bubbling to the surface in petitions, calls for public inquiry, and demands of accountability. The scandal is already reshaping British politics. It's not just about the heinous nature of the crime. It's that every level of the British system is implicated in the cover-up. Social workers were intimidated into silence. Local police ignored, excused, and even abetted pedophile rapists across dozens of cities. Senior police and Home Office officials deliberately avoided action in the name of maintaining what they called community relations. Local councillors and members of parliament rejected pleas for help from parents of raped children. Charities, NGOs, MPs accused those who discussed the scandal of racism and Islamophobia. The media ignored or downplayed the biggest story of our lifetimes. Zealous in their incuriosity, much of British media elite remained barnacled to the bubble of Westminster politics and self-serving priorities. I can't even read some of the stories. Gang rapes, just sickening, and they ignored it. There's one story, and I think Musk tweeted this out, of a girl she was, I think, 13 or 14. Someone called because they heard her cries for help. The cops showed up. There's a dozen Pakistani men and a young girl. She's drunk. She's disheveled. She'd been raped. The cops showed up, arrested her for drunkenness, and left the men without even questioning them. That's one story that Musk has tweeted, and he is not letting it go. He is all on board, and you would be too if you read. Again, I'm just begging you, read some of these stories. It's incredible. And you know who's implicated? Keir Starmer. The prime minister was one of the, he was an official, a local official in charge of investigating this. He turned a blind eye. He is in trouble right now, and he should be. It is beyond sickening. It's one thing to have DEI policies and promote someone because of their race or ethnicity. That's not good, as we saw in New Orleans. We have a DEI police chief who didn't protect the people on New Year's Eve and is still employed. This is so far beyond the pale. This is beyond comprehension, what they allowed to do. They put the number. The story says 200,000 girls were abused, raped, murdered in some cases. And it just goes on and on. There are names, there are faces. You can see the girls. They were kids. And they were abused because they were white, according to these stories, because they viewed as less than human by these men of Pakistani descent. And there are thousands and thousands of victims. And it's just now coming to light. Musk tweeted, "For anyone doubting the severity and depravity of mass gang rapes, go to the source material and read the court transcripts. I did. It is worse than you could possibly imagine." And he tweets a number of times about this from the court reports. And it's just mind-boggling. We have lost our minds. They did this in the name of multiculturalism and tolerance and diversity in England. And now they're declaring war on Musk for bringing it to light. That's where we are in the West. We are committing suicide, as Gad Saad, that whatever he is, doctor, philosopher, calls it suicidal empathy. That's what this is. Suicidal empathy, sacrificing. England is sacrificing their daughters on the altar of diversity and tolerance and multiculturalism. I could sit here all day and read these stories, but again, do it yourself. Google it. Do what Musk did. Read some of these transcripts. The abuse, and the cover-up goes all the way to the top. These people belong. They belong in Gitmo. We should be. We should not let this go. We should not let this go. We should not let this die. This is, as this writer, what's her name? His name, Dominic Green, writes, the greatest scandal in modern Europe. I don't know. Seems even worse than January 6th to me. That's me. Well, maybe we'll hear from Sonny. The problem is you actually have to read up. You have to Google, do your work. And Sonny Hostin and Jake Tapper and the rest, they're not going to do it. They're going to say, oh, it's Musk. He's a far right guy now. Musk, who was a Democrat like 3 days ago, is now a far right provocateur for bringing this story to light. God, I hope he stays on it, because he's changing the world. He really is. He is changing the world. We are getting things like this are coming to light, and more things like this are going to come to light in 13 days. And I am so encouraged by that. All right, speaking of things coming to light, we got to get to this New York story. This is just incredible. What they're doing, all that violence on the subway, New York has a solution. Let's put more people on the subway. We'll get to that and more, but first.
Excuse me.
Are you looking to cut costs and improve your business's bottom line? The best business operators have turned to Ramp to help them stop wasteful spending and improve their finance operations. Ramp is the corporate card and spend management software designed to help you save time and put money back in your pocket. With Ramp, spend policies are built into the card so you can prevent wasteful spending before it happens. You can customize spending limits and restrictions so employees are empowered to purchase what your business needs, and you have peace of mind. Ramp plays bad cops so you don't have to, detecting policy violations, chasing missing documentation, requesting repayment, and locking down cards of non-compliant employees. Ramp helps you manage all your finance operations in one place. Card expenses, reimbursements, vendor payments, accounting automation, and a whole lot more. So you can see all your business spending in one place. And now get $250 when you join Ramp. Just go to ramp.com/Jerry. Ramp.com/Jerry. That's RAMP.com/Jerry. Card issued by Sutton Bank, member FDIC. Terms and conditions apply. Get $250 when you join Ramp. Go to ramp.com/Jerry. And if you weren't paying attention over the holidays, things are going great in the New York subway. There was one story, we talked about it. It could be the most disturbing crime story we've seen in this latest Biden-Soros crime wave. A man, let me get his name, Sebastian Zapata, a Guatemalan illegal alien, set a woman on fire. It was like 7:30 in the morning on a Sunday morning. There he is. There's Sebastian. He doesn't remember, he says, because he was so drunk. But some poor woman was sleeping on the subway. He set her on fire, and then he fanned the flames, and she stood there and burned alive. Another story had, You don't want to show it, Ironhead? We don't want to.
I'll show it.
Why not? This is what's happening on New York City subways. This is what's happening in our largest city. Another story, a man pushed an innocent guy in front of a subway train just for kicks. Here's the woman burning alive. And by the way, a cop is just standing right there. Then you had a guy jump the turnstile and just shove a man in front of the subway. That individual's name is Kamala Hawkins. Just was bored, thought he'd shove a man in front of the subway. He survived. The guy got seriously injured, but he is alive. Here he is. Here's Kamala Hawkins, just jumps the turnstile, of course. We allow that now.
No, he's actually the guy in the hoodie that walked in from the left. Watch.
Just bored. Boom, right in front of the train. His friend jumps, runs away, got caught. But, he was bored. Thought he'd try to kill an innocent guy. Now when you go in the New York City subway, everybody is standing with their back to the wall, praying that some homeless psychopath doesn't shove them in front of the train. They also arrested a guy for stabbing two people on the subway. He had 87 prior arrests. He was on the street, of course, because of Medal of Freedom winner George Soros, who installed DA Alvin Bragg, and they stopped enforcing crime. So that's what's going on in the subway. It is out of control. People are afraid to ride the subway. So what do the elected leaders in New York do? They come up with a plan to force thousands of more people onto the subway. Not to put more cops down there or not to put these dangerous people in prison or in mental institutions. No, that's not the problem. The problem is we don't have enough people on the subway, enough potential victims. The announced earlier this week is a new congestion pricing system. This is from the New York Post. The new congestion pricing will lead to cars being charged up to $27 to cross into Manhattan during the day, with van and truck drivers facing even higher costs. And firefighters, teachers, and ordinary workers say they simply can't afford it. So it's an extra $9 for this new toll to drive a car, an extra $27 or more to drive a truck, a van, a delivery truck, an Amazon truck, a UPS into the city. So obviously, this is liberal thinking. This is the liberal brain at work. Kathy Hochul actually proposed this in the summer, congestion pricing, tolls, and they found out it was really unpopular with the public. So they shelved it, said, no, we're not going to do that until the election. When the election was over, they said, let's do it. And they said, they let them ride the subway. Let them risk their lives every day to get to work. Let's not allow them to drive into the city. They unveiled these signs in Manhattan that say, extra toll, congestion toll, and a group of people all cheered. They support this. They support stopping working people from getting in their cars or trucks or vans and going to work and making them ride the subway, jam into the subway full of homeless vagrants and drug addicts and psychopaths who just push people in front of trains for kicks or light women on fire for kicks. That's the way they think. That is just friggin' insane. Rich people don't care about this. They're happy. They pay an extra $9 and they can drive their Porsche or their Mercedes into the city with less traffic. They're thrilled. The working people, they're the ones who suffer, again, under liberal policies. They're the ones forced to leave their car at home or park somewhere before they get to the congestion pricing zone. And that's what they're doing because of all this violence on the subway. And they're happy. Isn't this wonderful? This is just madness. And you know what? You know what they're doing right now in Boston, Philadelphia, and Chicago? They're looking at this saying, wow, we can do it. We can raise money, more money to squander, to piss away. Let's do it. This is sick. And it's happening as we have this crime wave, as we have innocent people getting shoved in front of trains. And they don't say, let's stop the crime. You know, the broken windows theory that you enforce the law, you convict, you prosecute minor crimes like breaking a window. This is what they're doing. They're allowing turnstile jumpers. They're allowing that. And the people jumping the turnstile are the ones stabbing people or shoving them in front of trains. I don't know. Feels like it's time to get out of New York City. If you're a working person, that's tough to do. If you're a cop or firefighter or delivery guy, you can't do it. You just get charged an extra $27. You pass it on to the customers. That is the liberal mind at work. All right. We got a lot more to get to. I want to get to this Stephen A. story. The New England Patriots fired Jerod Mayo Sunday after the game. He was supposed to lose, and he won. And he only had one season. It was another failure. They went 3-14. They won their first game against the Cincinnati Bengals, and it was all downhill from there. They had one great revelation. Their quarterback, he's good. He's going to be good.
The Patriots kept the Bengals out of the playoffs.
That's true, too, which is too bad. I wanted the Bengals in the playoffs because I love watching Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, and they would have been a threat. They're not in the playoffs. That's too bad, but, Patriots knocked them out on week 1. And as soon as it happened, I said, who's going to be the first? Who's going to say Jerod Mayo was fired because he's black? I can't believe we're still doing this. I really can't. In this day and age, in 2025, we're still saying a guy who went 3-14, who was obviously, clearly not ready. You know who really didn't want to fire Jerod Mayo? Bob Kraft, the owner of the Patriots, who hand-selected him years ago and thought he had great potential. And Kraft yesterday went before the media and took accountability. I'll give him credit for this. He said, it's on me. I picked him. I believed in him. It didn't work. He might be a great coach someday. He's not ready. It was a mistake. They would have had a better season if they'd hired Mike Vrabel last year or Ben Johnson. But he really wanted to promote Jerod Mayo. He loves the guy. It didn't work. It failed. They cut the cord. They didn't prolong the agony. They fired him, paid him, and now they're moving on. And I think just about every Patriots fan supports this. They're thrilled. They knew the guy wasn't ready. They like him. The players like him. He just wasn't ready. And they have to, if they're going to, if this quarterback is going to progress, and mature, and turn into the star that I think he will, he needs a new coach, a new staff, clearly. But of course, Jerod Mayo's black, so obviously he would still be there after a 3-14 season. Like Rod Rust. Oh, wait, that doesn't work. Here's Stephen A. and Shannon Sharp discussing the firing of Gerard Smith with the most predictable, lame, tired, stupid take.
That's what this is about. This is about Mike Vrabel. That's who they wanted. No question about it. And he's a more seasoned, more experienced coach. I don't like this. They call it Black Friday Black Monday rather for a reason. This certainly typifies it. I don't know why it's not called White Monday. Doug Peterson got fired from Jacksonville. He deserved that firing. Jerod Mayo clearly was not given an opportunity, a lengthy enough opportunity, considering what Bill Belichick left him with from a talent perspective, considering the record, considering the way the team performed. He didn't help himself with some of the comments he made, calling the team soft and what have you, and having to retract statements. And we get all of that. But no matter what we can point to, at the end of the day, the folks in New England were turning against Jerod Mayo. We all know this. And I think it has something to do with the fact that Vrabel is available. And that's really what's going on here. They don't want to lose him, especially the team like the New York Jets. They want to be in the running, and they can't do that with him as the head coach.
So he admits they want Vrabel, that he's more seasoned, that Mayo didn't help himself, that Mayo lost. That's how it works in the NFL. And he even mentions, Doug Peterson got fired too. Lots of white guys got fired. I mean, that's how it works. The idea that race had anything to do with it, if you want to point to his race, it helped. Again, Bob Kraft is like the least racist guy you'd ever meet. he wanted more than anything for this young African-American coach to succeed. It kills him to fire Mayo after 1 year, but he had to. When is this going to stop? When are we going to stop doing that, saying, oh, is he white? Okay, he deserved it. He's black? Oh, Black Monday. I'm sorry, Stephen A. That's not why they call it Black Monday. It's a dark day. People lose their jobs. They get fired. It's a tough business. That's how it works. White guys, black guys, it doesn't matter. And now, there's 5 black coaches. I think there'll be more. Brian Flores will probably get a job. There's other candidates that'll be interviewed. But he's right. They want Mike Vrabel. They don't want him to go to the Jets or the Raiders. And they'll probably hire him. And Stephen A will come on and say, oh, they just hired him because he's white. It's like such a tired, weak refrain from the same tired, weak guys. He doesn't even believe that. You hear the way he said it. He doesn't even believe it. He just feels obligated to say it. And it's a very diverse panel, Shannon Sharp, and then that woman, and they'll bring on like 27 black guys. Ryan Clark, he'll chime in. Oh yeah, it's just because he's black. No, it is not. Stop. We're done with that. We should do this before we go. His former partner, Stephen A's former partner, Skip Bayless, he's in a little bit of trouble.
I think that whole entire network is.
Yeah, the whole FS1 network. The story's incredible on a number of levels. And it just boggles my mind. We've talked about Skip Bayless in the past. I don't think I ever watched the show. I don't even know if he's still on. He left ESPN.
The show's done.
The show's done. He left ESPN to go to FS1. He was on with Shannon Sharp for years, I think. I used to see clips online. I never watched it. But anyway, they paid him $6 million a year. Skip Bayless, to do a show that nobody watched. $6 million a year, which I guess, explains a lot of this. But this is from NBC News yesterday. Longtime television sports firebrand Skip Bayless is accused of making repeated unwanted sexual advances and offering $1.5 million to have sex with a former hairstylist at Fox Sports, according to a lawsuit filed by the woman. The lawsuit filed in Los Angeles accuses Bayless of trying to pressure plaintiff Noshin Faraji into a sexual relationship, including offering her $1.5 million for sex after she told him of a cancer scare. What? In a statement, Fox said, "We take these allegations seriously. I have no further comment." If this is true, the lawsuit also names popular host Joy Taylor. Is she really that popular? Accusing her of telling the plaintiff to get over it when Fox Sports executive Charlie Dixon groped her at a party. Taylor and Dixon did not comment. First of all, if you're a TV host and you're making $6 million, do you really think that making sexual advances on a hairstylist is going to stay between you and her? She's probably making, I don't know, 80 grand. You're making $6 million and you're trying to hit on her. And Skip Bayless check his age for me. He's got to be 70 something. And if you were going to offer someone, is there any woman in the world where you offer $1.5 million? There she is. There's Skip, and is that whatever?
He's 73 years old.
Check his age. He's in his 70s.
73.
Is there any woman on the planet you'd offer $1.5 million, even if it were legal and weren't, workplace harassment, even if you weren't going to get sued or in trouble? You're offering was he going to write her a check? Here you go. Let's go. Let's do it. It's like that movie with Robert Redford and whoever, where he offers $1 million to have sex with Demi Moore. I mean, that was Demi Moore, maybe, but you think she's going to say, okay, let's go. Where do you want to go? What, here, I'll take cash, check, Venmo me. Yeah, Venmo me $1.5 million. What does his wife think? Skip's in trouble, but what does he care?
Ernestine's not going to be very happy.
Who's Ernestine? Is that his wife?
Yeah, he talks about her all the time.
Does he really? Skip's so annoying. I don't get that. I don't get the idea that Skip Bayless is worth $6 million a year. I guess it didn't work out.
I didn't hate his show with Shannon Sharp.
Really?
I liked watching it in clip form. I wouldn't watch the whole thing, but it wasn't the worst.
Skip Bayless. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Got paid $7 million a year. What? $7 million a year for Skip Bayless to talk, pretend, fake outrage and pretend. He's 73 years old, offering a hairstylist $1.5 million. These people are in trouble. And I assume he had a chance to settle out of court and didn't. So this is going to go to court. It's going to get ugly and they're going to drag lots. This is something I never have to worry about. I would never, ever. I mean, I'm not the most disciplined guy in the world. I would never think that this was going to work. I would never think you'd get away with it. Get away with harassing a hairstylist or an underling at work in this day and age. Well, Skip didn't get away with it. Skip's in trouble. And we will see how that all goes, but and see who else gets dragged into it. This is going to be wild if it actually goes to court. But all right, that will leave it. That will do it for today. We will leave it there. We will see. Trump's holding a press conference right now. You can see that live on Newsmax. And we will see how much damage Joe Biden does today. He freed 11 Yemeni terrorists yesterday. 11 men who were, including the driver for bin Laden, was freed by Joe Biden. 11 Yemenis. This is amazing. He didn't free them. He sent them to Oman. So I'm sure Oman will take good care of them. The detainees will be resettled in Oman as the Biden administration moves to wind down operations at Guantanamo Bay. There's like 5 guys left in Guantanamo Bay, and these 11 guys, who, including a guy who they admit, one guy said, Moath Hamza Ahmed al-Alawi, an al-Qaeda fighter and bodyguard for bin Laden, was released. His file notes that al-Awi has committed a number of disciplinary infractions at Gitmo and was pardoned as part of a, quote, incentive for detainees to improve their conduct. So they pardoned all his infractions and then sent him to Oman, where he'll be eventually released and returned to the fight. Incredible. Joe Biden is doing everything he can to destroy this country and piss on the graves of the many, many victims of these freaking savages. Disgusting. All right, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'm Gerry Callahan. This is the Callahan Show, and we will do it again tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh my God. Is she crazy?
Thank you. Thank you
Wow.
all. Thank you so very much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Oh, too many thank yous.